pool is the most haunted place in the building. Had an apartment upstairs, and the son did the janitor work. And he would come down those stairs and sometimes find water on the floor. The last few barge lines had an office upstairs here, and in the morning their secretaries would sell their coffee urns on this level and take it upstairs and sometimes fill the water. So they had a very active imagination to think that a ghost had drowned in the pool like water spots up here. That was not true. The shadow in the pool was fabricated. You know, you saw a shadow walk across. No truth to this role. And things far more paranormal than that happened in this building. Why they had to make up two silly stories, maybe because they could do it easy. But, you know, I mean, really interesting things happen here. And those are just silly, you know, but I'm going to take it down there. Sometime after the Civil War, they drilled for oil on this property. And after drilling the length or the depths of 4 football fields, almost through bedrock, they hit water. The owners of the property at that time were in the tobacco distribution business, which, and they saw no commercial value in the water at all. You can sit that down if you want to. I'm going to give you a few minutes of history here. They saw no commercial value in that whatsoever. But there was a German in St. Louis who had a meatpacking company. And he came over from Germany, and his experience in Germany was artesian spring water is salty, and it is. It's very salty. It's not like the drinking water you buy in bottles to drink. You couldn't really drink this water because it's way too salty. So, but he knew that was ideal for curing meat. So eventually he bought the property, and in 1888 he built a meatpacking facility. All of that is still here. It's on the lower side or the side towards the river. Now, that went very well. He was a great entrepreneur, and he had a great meatpacking company. But he thought maybe the water had some other value, because at that time, French Lick, Indiana, and a little place called Hot Springs, Arkansas, were starting to develop spas. And he thought maybe this water would be good enough for that. So he sent some samples to the University of Illinois, and Illinois said, this is great. You could have a tremendous spa here. So he closed his meatpacking and moved it farther down Broadway here, which was 2nd Street at the time, and started building the hotel on top of the meatpacking. And that's what we have today. Now, that was finished in 1914. It was built in an Italian style, even though he was German, because this was before World War I, and they were starting to develop in this country an anti-German feeling. You know, they were starting a prejudice towards Germans. They were, you know, overtaking Europe. We knew eventually we would get into the war, and they weren't very well liked. He didn't want to develop this into a German theme, like with beer gardens and German architecture. So he did it with an Italian theme. And it still is today. Underneath this floor, you can't see it now, it's terrazzo. Up the next story up, that floor is terrazzo. It's an Italian floor. Those little white spots in that floor upstairs, Italian marble. You probably would never build a floor like that. Well, maybe Donald Trump would, you know, but ordinarily today you wouldn't build a floor like that. In the 1920s, this was a really going place. I mean, they were coming in from not only the United States, but all over the world to swim in the pools here, which I'm going to show you in a minute, and to just take the water treatment, which was heating the water and having it poured on their head in a bathtub. There was a doctor on duty here all the time. Thousands of people came to the Mineral Springs to take these treatments, and things went real well until 1929. In 1929, the stock market crashed. It cost 10 cents to swim in the pool. Nobody had a dime. It cost $1 to rent the room and have the water therapy treatment. No one had the money. So at that time, a couple years into the Depression, they closed the pool. The water has not been into the pool since. Like I said, it was a very, very popular place. Thousands of people came, thousands of people left. Checked in and they checked out. if you have a ghost in your house, probably 4 or 5 people have experience with it. So you can imagine how many people in Alton have ghost experiences with 1,000 ghost sightings. Now let me tell you, before we go into the pool, let me tell you about the 2 ghosts that occupy that area. One we call George, although certain psychics, and I've worked with 5 psychics, I'm not a psychic. I'm not a psychic at all. You have to hit me on the head to figure something out, really. We have a ghost that drowned in the pool that we call George. One psychic says his name is William, and another psychic says his name is Robert Friedman. I don't know. One psychic said he was hit in the head by his wife, and he drowned. The other psychic said he dove into the shallow end of the pool and drowned. We do know a man drowned in the pool. We don't know the whole story. He does appear to people and talks to people, especially women. He doesn't particularly like me, and I'm going to go into the pool, and I want you to take a picture of me while I'm in the pool, because when you have them developed, it will not be unusual to find an arm around me. And he's literally grabbed my arm, just like I'm grabbing yours, about that long, and released it. No one there. And I had keys in my hand walking in the pool, and the keys were literally slapped out of my hand and onto the floor. I do not see him. I do not hear him. I'm not clairvoyant. But he's capable of doing these kind of things. That's the man. He's appeared to women. He'll talk. This used to be a painting parlor. And when women were working in here late at night, it was not unusual for him to call them by name, like Mary, come here, from behind this door. They would open up the door and turn on the light and see George. I like to call him George. He doesn't like to be called that. But George would be standing in the pool, and they would make eye contact. You would see him. You didn't think he was a ghost. You thought he was a person. He would turn around and walk through the wall and disappear. Those women always disappeared too. They never came back. The other ghost we have is a little girl. The psychics have said her name is Cassandra. We don't know how she drowned, but we believe it involved head trauma of some kind. She might have been running. They had swimming lessons here at one time. We think her age is 8 years old or less. She is very attracted to little girls. And if you're from South Bend, let me ask you a question. What do you think is, in the 1920s, what was the most popular participant sport in the United States? No? No. From South Bend, that would be a good answer, though. Marbles. Marbles. Every kid had a sack of marbles. I don't know how old you are here, but you know, I'm 60, and I remember having a sack of marbles. Do you remember marbles? I don't believe that.
Well, but I'm not actually from South Bend. I'm from Alton.
Well, the reason I say South Bend is because you're familiar with Newt Rockne.
Right.
Newt Rockne won the marble championship at Notre Dame. Did you know that? Marbles were very, very popular, and this girl is fascinated with marbles.
Right.
Well, we had a seance here one night with 2 little girls, maybe 9, 10 years old, and they were all holding hands, you know, in a circle with very dim lights. I was standing with the seance leader up on top of the pool, and I know no funny business went on. The seance leader said, if there are spirits here, let us see you, let us hear you. Do something to let us know you're here. Well, about 30 seconds went by, and I started hearing a marble roll across the pool floor. And it would stop, and then another one would roll. And they continued to roll. Well, as is not uncommon during a seance, a woman got very sick. She had a very bad headache and started getting nauseous. So I took her out of the pool into this room, and she collapsed about where that car is. And I had to go upstairs to get a bucket for her because she thought she was going to throw up. When I came back down, there were 3 people sick on the floor. And I had to kind of nurse them back to health until they could start walking to go upstairs. The seance ended, and the 2 little girls came out, and we all talked about what they experienced. Several people saw the little girl trying to play marbles with the 2 little girls. Each one of the little girls had a marble. that was right by their shoe, like right there. The shoe stopped. This is one of those marbles. Can anybody tell me anything about that marble? First of all, it's smaller than what you probably played marbles with. I waited until I found an expert on marbles in the barbershop to tell me something about this marble. It appeared out of nowhere. These are industrial marbles. They're made to put inside a can of spray paint. Straight up from the pool, that direction, is a storage room full of these cans. It took her 30 seconds to take the marbles out of these cans, to play marbles with those little girls. It's the most fascinating thing I've ever seen.
Fine cans that didn't have marbles?
No, because I didn't know it for 2 weeks, and they were painting the wrought iron upstairs, and they threw I shook 100 cans. Trying to find the one she got them out of. If you cut into a can like this, it would explode if it has propellant in it. Psychics say that she was capable of reaching in and taking it out without upsetting the can. I have no other explanation. We didn't plant those marbles there. I think I've talked enough. Let's take a look at the pool. Cassandra, when she is down here, is usually hiding under these stairs. That's where she's been seen the most. If you're capable of seeing a ghost, I can't. George is probably more towards the brain. And we also have other ghosts that are probably just visitors. They kind of come and go. And of course, any one of you could have brought a guardian angel in with you, or a spirit of your own, perhaps a loved one that has died and what you're doing. This was an ideal place because it was a fun place to be. And a lot of spirits. We definitely have the most ghost sightings in this pool, or in this pool area. We do have 4 ghosts in the hotel. One we call the Jasmine Lady, and she's up on the level of my barbershop, and occasionally comes down here, and you can smell her jasmine perfume. Sometimes you can smell George's pipe tobacco. We have a ghost that I would all like for you to go into the cafe before you leave tonight. I'll tell you a little bit about the cafe now. There's a mural on the wall of the cafe. As you come in from the street, you can see it. It was painted by a man who was an artist who made his living doing little odd jobs like that. He was running up a bar bill and a hotel bill, so he paid it off by painting that mural. It's a picture of Alton seen from the West Alton side. And he died before he got it finished. He is a tremendous flirt. He's pulling women by pulling their hair or tapping on their shoulder or pulling on their purse. As a matter of fact, I think they just had an experience this week. If you ask one of the waitresses or one of the employees up there, I'm sure they have a little story about what's happened to them. Okay, anybody that wants to come on down in the pool can.